Hey everyone and welcome back to the channel. This time let's take a look at best horror board games. I try to prepare this list in that way that it covers multiple areas of board gaming. There will be great cooperative, solo, card games, sci-fi, war and Halloween games, games based on the video games, novels, movies and more. Well, you got my point. So grab a drink and get yourself comfortable cause there are a lot of things to cover. And now let's go. Let's start with Nemesis, not only because it is a really cool and highly rated game, but also because I haven't covered this game before and it's not fair because the game is wonderful. Game gives you that truly wonderful cinematic sci-fi survivor horror feeling while you navigate through the eerie spaceship corridors trying to get to the escape pods, while your each step makes noise that may attract the attention of alien intruders. Each section of the ship has its own facilities that perform certain functions on the ship, like for example laboratory, control center, gate control center, etc. And on the way through the ship you must find different items that can help you to perform different tasks, heal and survive. Game is a 1 to 5 player semi-cooperative where you control one crew member with a unique set of skills and objectives. And talking about combat with aliens, it can turn out very unpredictably and you may even get infected and turn into intruder yourself. Game is really amazing, nicely crafted, super highly replayable, and in my opinion it is one of the best sci-fi horror board games about space. And as many cool games, this one as well have a couple of wonderful expansions, like for example Nemesis Lockdown and Nemesis Aftermath. And if you are interested, I left Amazon links in description so you can check those games out and get them with these. Okay, after this cosmic darkness, let's jump into the adventure. Shadows of Brimstone, City of the Ancients. Very interesting cooperative game that mixes Old West and horror themes, where you take on the role of the Western hero exploring the dark mines around Brimstone, fighting demons and creatures that are entering through portals. And the heroes can enter those portals as well to explore the alien worlds. Cool thing that makes this game replayable is that the game board is randomly generated as you play using a deck of map cards. The board tiles are double-sided with Old West rooms or passages on the one side and alien worlds on the other. Game has 12 core missions, nicely crafted components, amazing miniatures, has fast and fun gameplay, some RPG elements, a cool story and solo gameplay option as well, making it one of the best adventure horror board games. Okay, now I would like to invite you to take a look on a bit an unusual area of horror games, and I'm talking about war games. And here I would like to suggest two games. Okay, let's start with this War of Mine. Well, not exactly a horror game, but it is so gruesome that it balances between deep distress, hardship, feeling of being doomed and realistic horror that if we want to get as close as possible to the horror genre in real war settings, then in my opinion this War of Mine is the game. Game is tabletop adaptation of the award-winning video game that depicts the drama of civilians trapped in a war-ravaged city. Game is built for 1 to 6 players and makes you experience a full set of emotional hardship while you try to survive and maintain your shelter while scavenging the city, and your choices may have long-lasting consequences. There are some RPG elements in the game as well. And to ultimately tip the balance of the horror in war game area, I suggest another alternative. Wolfenstein, the board game. Game is also based on the video game. Well, those who have played this legendary video game knows what it is about. For those who haven't, I highly recommend doing that. And about the tabletop version, I can tell the same. absolutely sweet. Game is set in the post-World War II alternative history where Nazis won the Second World War, and your mission is simple: eliminate their leader. It is a co-op adventure dungeon crawler with more than 50 cool miniatures, random events, and a breathtaking campaign that consists of 10 missions. In the game, you are using action points to move, noise can interact, enemies, battles can turn out unpredictably, and you develop your character as you go, salvage weapons, items, and glory points. Well, very cool game. Yes, definitely, if we talk about war horror board games, then this War of Mine and Wolfenstein would be my #1 choices. Okay, let's carry on with the Zombicide, Black Plague. It is a cooperative game for 1 to 6 players that brings zombie slicing and dicing into medieval fantasy settings with some dwarves and elves as well. Players control survivor characters fighting against the hordes of zombies that invaded their land. While you progress through the missions and battle zombies, you search for weapons, secret passages, unique items, land spells, and gain experience. The more experience you gain, the more powerful your hero becomes, but the more zombies rise and you must fight them again. Each character has its own plastic dashboard where you can track a character's XP, skills, wounds, and place inventory like shield and weapon. So basically RPG character building and tracking stuff, something similar like in video games. Game is nicely designed, has a well-balanced gameplay, and can easily stand as one of the best medieval fantasy zombie board games. And not to offend our zombie friends, I decided to pick another great zombie game, but this time in a bit more recent history settings. Well, in 1930s, so in 20th century, AuZtralia, AuZtralia with letter Z. It is an adventure and exploration game for 1 to 4 players. The game's theme is inspired by Martin Wallace's A Study of Emerald, which itself is a nice horror deck building game for 2 to 5 players based on award-winning story of the same name by Neil Gaiman. But returning to AuZtralia, in the game you build port, construct railways, mine and farm for food to prepare yourself for awakening of old ones that will come to devastate the whole land. And there is one feature that sets this game apart from others, and it is the time point system. Basically all actions in the game costs time, and that's putting pressure on you, making a switch on your time management and decision-making skills. Okay, let's carry on. Although already mentioned A Study of Emerald could be a great deck building horror game, for this list I chose another title. Legendary Encounters, an alien deck building game. It is a cooperative game based on the 4 movies of the Alien series with very nice original art. In the game you take on the role of famous characters of the film and collect cards for their deck to improve their ability to defeat xenomorph cards that are constantly added to the game's board. Although the game is cooperative, it allows solo gameplay as well, and this is great. In my opinion, very strong candidate to be one of the best horror deck building games. As the next one, I suggest Dead of Winter, a Crossroads game. It is a story-driven game that puts players in a zombie apocalypse settings. Each player leads a group of survivors with dozens of different characters with the main task to survive by gathering vital supplies, solve problems, keeping up morale, and fulfill objectives. So This is a core of the game. Well, nothing unique at a first glance, but it has one cool feature that sets it apart from the majority of other zombie apocalypse games. What sets it apart is that this game is a semi or meta-cooperative psychological survivor game where players collaborate to achieve a shared goal. However, to achieve individual victory, each player must also fulfill a personal secret objective. So, these objectives may not affect others in the group, or they may jeopardize the main goal, sabotage the primary mission, or even trigger conditions for turning against the group. Therefore, the game can result in various outcomes, and in my opinion that makes this game one of the best horror survivor board games. Okay, let's carry on with the final girl. This game gives you a nice cinematic movie-like feeling and puts you in the shoes of the girl that must fight against the killer and survive the night. I should admit that developers did a really great job. Game board tracks locations of character movement, killer and locations each have their own specific tarot card that creates a unique experience with the various combinations of scenarios, making the game more unpredictable. On top of that, you can choose multiple characters and different killers for the game. Game is well crafted and is a great choice if we are looking for a solitary, only solitary movie-based horror tabletop game. And as we talk about all kinds of horror games here, trying to cover different fields and areas of the genre, we must have Halloween and family game suggestions as well. Horrified. This game will make you laugh and have fun more than be actually horrified. It is a great family game where you must save the town from classic movie monsters like, for example, Dracula, the Mummy and the Bride of Frankenstein. Each villain behaves differently and can only be defeated if you work together, so a highly cooperative game, nicely designed and fun to play. And this game has a great continuation in Horrified American Monsters, released in 2021, with the same gameplay but different monsters such as Bigfoot, Mothman, the Jersey Devil, the Chupacabra and others. Yes, if anyone would ask for a cool family and Halloween party horror board game, then Horrified would be my #1 choice. And as I already mentioned Dracula's name, then why not to take a look at the Fury of Dracula. The game fantastically captures the gothic horror theme of Bram Stoker's Dracula novel, featuring iconic artwork, detailed components and thematic gameplay elements. Game is incredibly immersive by mixing adventure, deduction and fighting in one comprehensive gameplay. One player assumes the role of a Dracula while the other players take on the roles of the vampire hunters, where each side has unique abilities and strategies. Dracula movements and actions are kept hidden, adding an element of surprise and unknown in this game. The game board represents various European cities and regions. Players can explore these locations to gather items, recruit allies and acquire information about Dracula's whereabouts. Definitely one of the best asymmetrical horror board games and the best game about Dracula. Next, I would like to suggest the best horror board game based on novel. Well, we already have a couple novel-based games in this list, but the next game, in my opinion, fits this title more than others we have looked already. Okay, it is Arkham Horror. The game has a couple of additions and numerous expansions, which all are great. It is a cooperative game based on H.P. Lovecraft novel where you take on the role of investigator trying to rid the world of eldritch beings. You must gather clues, fight terrifying monsters, and find tools and allies. And you know, it will be only fair if I will mention Eldritch Horror as well. It is also a novel-based game with multiple series and expansions. Well, if you look for a great novel-based adventure horror board game with dice rolling and fighting, then you can easily get lost if you pick these two titles. So yes, in my opinion, these two titles are one of the best novel-based horror board games. Okay, next one is Carnival Zombie, amazing cooperative board game for 1 to 6 players. You must escape a city overrun by zombies. Well, you control a group of heroes as they fight their way to the one of the possible escape routes facing relentless hordes of zombies. Game has day and night phases. During the day you recover, during the night zombies come out and you fight, and you can search for useful items and survivors as well. I like features where killed zombies respawn, so basically the more you kill them, the more likely they will come back. It really balances the game. Great feature. Nicely crafted game in Renaissance settings. Cool cartoon-like graphical design of cards definitely makes it one of the best co-op horror board games. And here I would like to suggest another alternative for you. Bloodborne, the board game. This is a campaign-based action-adventure game based on a cool video game where you take on the role of hunter, working together with other players against the game to uncover the mysteries hidden within a city of Yharnam. Game features a unique card-driven combat where success or failure depends only on your choices. Okay, as we touch the video game area, then why not to mention Doom, the board game, which is a strategic game of tactical combat for 2 to 5 players based on legendary video game. Doom immerses you in a fierce battle between legions of demons, which are controlled by one invaded player and a cooperative team of up to 4 Marines. The game takes place through the 2 cohesive operations, each consisting of 6 missions, during which the Marines strive to achieve their objectives. So it is a great asymmetrical horror board game based on video game as well. And not to lose this great tailwind that we have with these video game based titles, let's check out Resident Evil 2, the board game, which is also video game based board game featuring all iconic horrors of iconic video game. Resident Evil 2 is a cooperative board game where you play as a character in a scenario from Resident Evil video game, fight iconic monsters, travel to police station, to the underground Umbrella laboratory while you uncover the secrets and escape from Raccoon City. Game is great. It gives you that awesome feeling of dungeon crawling as well, and should be considered as one of the best board games about infection outbreak. Okay, let's add a bit of madness to this list. Mansion of Madness, 2nd edition. It is a cooperative app-driven board game for 1 to 5 players. Game is full of horror and mystery. You wander through the dark streets, haunted corridors of cursed mansion in search of answers of your quest, collecting weapons, tools and information, solving complex puzzles and fighting monsters and other horrors. Well, cool game. It's one of my favorites and in my opinion can easily claim the title to be one of the best mystery horror board games and app-driven horror board game. As the next one, I would like to suggest Claustrophobia, where action takes place in hell, where you either play as a humans controlling a group of humans or as demons. Either way, you must accomplish scenario-based goals, and there are a couple of scenarios in this game. Game is well designed, has great story and quite simple mechanics. Overall, nice game, one of the best miniature-based horror board games about hell. Next two games, in my opinion, deserve to be one of the best horror board games based on movies. First one is Alien: Fate of Nostromo. Very awesome game. I have many personal favorites between PC and board games, but this one charms me especially. I don't know why. Maybe it's because of that iconic movie, maybe because I love dungeon crawling games and games alike. I really don't know. Anyway, it is a cooperative game where you take on a role of the Nostromo crew and work together to move through the ship, gather supplies and craft items to accomplish objectives that are determined by the crew card. Each crew member has a special ability. You move around Nostromo, search, pick up, craft, use and even trade valuable items with other crew members. To win in this game, you must complete objectives and one of the final missions before your morale runs out. And actually, it can be another great family board game as well for 1 to 5 players, because age requirements is only 10 plus, with playtime 1 hour, not too long, so the kids' patience will not die out. Another super cool movie-based horror board game is The Thing: Infection at Outpost 31. Probably not for family play with the kids, because it may not be appropriate because of the content, and on top of that, it is recommended to watch the movie before you play to get a deeper sense of the story and admire this wonderful game fully. Those who watch the movie knows that events are happening in the Antarctic, where researchers are managing an isolated US outpost 31 that came into contact with a hostile extraterrestrial life form, and that life form is just terrible. It is a hidden identity game where you must play as one of the 12 characters from the movie and lead a series of investigations to find out who among the team has been infected by this alien lifeform and clear the building. A kind of detective, deception and hidden identity game. Movie was great, and this game is well designed and crafted, and is another great choice if you are looking for great movie-based horror board game. Okay, next one is Cthulhu: Death May Die. It is a great game that puts you in a charge of investigators looking to defeat an elder god that is being summoned to Earth. In this game, time plays against you, but if you can collect enough clues to find your enemy's weakness, you can be victorious. You must work together with other players to fight cultists and search for answers. Game is inspired by writings of H.P. Lovecraft, takes place in the 1920s, has multiple editions, has RPG elements, miniature gameplay, dice rolling, adventure and fantasy settings, and very decent rating, making it one of the best horror board games overall. So, what do you think? Do you have any other titles to suggest? Or maybe you can add some bits and pieces about any of these games. Go ahead and share your opinion in comments. If you found this video useful, give it a like and please subscribe to the channel and hit notification bell to be always informed about new episodes. That's it for today. Thank you for watching. Have fun playing these wonderful games and stay tuned for the next episode.